Okay, you're in.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm in. All right. Okay. All right. Sorry, guys. I showed up late. But we're ready. All right. So, hello, guys. I'm M-Chanted38, and I'll be commentating for this match on Link to the Past. We have JoeDamillio and XanaduX1. You guys probably know JoeDamillio because he's been at HDQs. He did a very good job on his runs. And then we have XanaduX1, which you probably may not know. He beat me on the first round because that was not restreamed. So here's the escape. The escape's pretty basic. It's a lot of pumping, which means a lot of mashing on the D-pad, which could potentially destroy your D-pad if too much. And these guys have really good PBs, so this is going to be a pretty good race from these two. Yeah, go ahead. Okay. Okay, so they're both in the basement, and the basement's pretty RNG. Some minor RNG here. Enemies' placements are the same, but their movement pattern is random. You kind of have to predict what you get, or you kind of have to react to what you get. Xanadu is having a little bit of trouble with the key rat. Meanwhile, Joe just made it out of the basement. Xanadu is having some trouble with the rats, but he made it just fine. Now Joe's out of the is now out of the basement, and I think these guys are gonna go for the Sanctuary Heart. If they are, then I don't blame them. It looks like Joe is going to go for it. I think Xanadu is going to go for it as well because he has 1 heart. That Sanctuary Heart will refill his health back to full HP. It's kind of the one really beneficial thing about if you're going for the Sanctuary Heart or not, is you can take as much damage as you can and as you want and escape, and still make it out with full HP because of the Sanctuary Heart. Alright, so now they're making their way to the first dungeon, which is the East Palace. It's a lot of minor RNG with the overworld. The Octorocks can be a pain in the butt sometimes, because the Octorocks kind of shoot at random and they move at random as well. Now Joe is made it to the East Palace. It's pretty straightforward, not a lot going on. Yeah, the first couple dungeons. Xanadu? Did I pronounce it right? Okay, alright. Alright, sorry about that, guys. Alright, so yeah, East Palace is pretty straightforward. The first couple segments of the game, Hyrule Castle and East Palace, they're pretty basic because you don't really have a lot of equipment to work with. So a lot of the stuff you're seeing is basically movement optimization and going through rooms quickly. So far as Xanadu is not too far behind Joe, but I mean, there's still a lot of game going on, so don't hope too much from your winning player, because this game is hard, and I do mean really hard. Nice anti-vary skip. Can be tricky to learn at first, because what you have to do is you have to just use your invincibility frames to go through the anti-fairies, and it's not the hardest thing to learn. It might take some practice to get consistent at it, because you normally have to kill all the enemies, which takes a significant amount of time. So it looks like both runners picked up the safety arrows. Pretty nice racing safe strategy in case you somehow run out of arrows at some point. I think usually in a PB attempt you wouldn't really go for those because they take just a little bit of time to go for. Joe's on Armos Knights. There's a lot of strategies on Armos Knights, but this is one of the better strategies. Each strategy is like a few frames apart from each other. He had a pretty nice fight. Yeah, Xanadu does it. Nice. Both had really good fights. So you guys can't really see it on the restream, but it looks like Joe is competing against his PB video, his PB footage, instead of actual splits, which is a pretty cool idea. Something that not a lot of people do when they go for a PB attempt. So they watch their own PB as they're running the game to see if they're ahead or not. I think it's a pretty reliable way to know, instead of actually looking at your time or something. But I mean, I guess it's all up to preference, really. Okay, both got spin speed just fine. So now they got boots after going through East Palace. And so now they're just dashing all over the place. And also taking advantage of super speed, which is Japanese 1.0, which is the reason why they play on the Japanese version. I think overall in the course of the run, it saves about maybe, I want to say a couple minutes total. Like, just from playing on the Japanese version compared to, like, the American version. Somebody can correct me if you want. So now they're making their way to the second dungeon, which is Desert Palace. So there's not a lot to really talk about with Overworld. It's just a bunch of optimizing your movement. Like, Overworld really matters. Yeah, Overworld really matters if you want good dungeon segments. Like, you can have good dungeon segments, but pretty bad Overworld segments, which would make you like lose time in the end. I think two really good categories to practice your movement are the two categories Canaburna and Mirror Shield, because you're just going through like a lot of Overworld in those two categories. So here's Desert Palace. Pretty confusing dungeons when you're playing casually, because there's a lot of rooms, and it's kind of hard to know like where you're supposed to go and such. But we know the fastest way around this dungeon. So this dungeon really does take advantage of how useful dashing is. Because, I mean, going everywhere while walking around is just really not that worth it. So yeah, most of the pots that you're seeing these two runners, most of the pots that you're seeing these two runners pick up are either contain bombs or arrows, because you'll be needing a lot of those throughout the run. And it'd be really unfortunate if you run out of arrows or bombs at such an unnecessary time. Alright, so now Joe's making his way to the second half of the dungeon. So then if he dies at some point in this dungeon, then he doesn't lose too much time. And both runners do not go for the risky spin speed out of the first half. I don't blame them because it's super risky. And it doesn't really save too much time. And you have a high chance of falling off and having to restart the first half if you fall off, because you move so fast and it's kind of hard to like react to that. So here's one of the more harder bosses to get good at. It's land molas. There are 3 of them. It takes 4 arrows per land mola. Or 8 sword attacks, or if you want to go out of your way to get this item, 2 ice rod shots. But I mean, that's a casual strat. Okay. So this could be a difference maker right here, because the land mola patterns are random. The most optimal you can get is 2 cycles. 2 cycles is very ideal. 3 is pretty good. Every other cycle after that's pretty annoying. Looks like Xanadu's having a hard time with land mows. It goes through just fine. And yeah, that's something you have to be careful of. When you're on your last land mola, the last one will shoot out more rocks in like a lot of directions. You have to be careful of. Okay. Joe got the fake flippers. No soft block from him. Good job. Yeah, if you get hit when you're in fake flippers, when you have fake flippers on, then you will soft lock the game. And the only way to get out of it is save and quit, which is allowed, but you do lose some time in the process. That's assuming you don't actually go into the soft lock state. Alright, both these runners did not soft lock, that's good. So here's everybody's favorite guy, the old man. These guys are not dashing with him, which they should, because, I mean, why walk through all this way? Alright, so they got the mirror. It's a pretty useful item, especially in a lot of dungeons. So here's another chance for Xanadu to catch up. The boulders are pretty awful in here. So what's gonna happen is the boulder patterns are random. They fall at random, and the squirrels they move at random as well. And you can't really kill the squirrels, so they get in your way a lot. You can kind of avoid them easily by going fast, but I mean, either way, it's not very consistent. It's another. Now Joe's in Mountain Tower, or most preferably known as Hera, the Tower of Hera. This room's kind of an auto-scroller, or at least we call it an auto-scroller, because you can't really do anything to speed this up. There's a bit of a safe strat, which I guess Joe's not going to go for, where you can throw a projectile, either a boomerang or an arrow, at the switch, and stand on where the pegs would be. And then as the pegs are up, and as long as you're standing on them, you will have invincibility frames. And it would save time in this room, but I mean, either way, you have to make those switches down in order for you to actually go through this. And it's also easy to die in this tile room if you're not careful. Okay, so the rest of the dungeon's pretty straightforward from here on out. There is one particular sequence break that you're going to be seeing in just a moment. It's like the first instance of a sequence break. Well, yeah, first major instance of a sequence break. Nice. So there's a couple methods for that. One method is what Joe just did. And that is to place a bomb and then bonk so that you land on the explosion when you jump. And then the explosion just pushes you across the pit. Or you can or you can stand a couple pixels away from the pit and just place the bomb there and just wait for the bomb to explode, and then that'll also work. So Joe taking it pretty safe here on Moldorm. A lot of run killers here. You can you can dash through Moldorm, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and it's dangerous because sometimes you can hit his head, and the head is the only thing that can hit you. You're supposed to hit his body. Oh. So we'll see how Xanadu does it. Oh, death. Yeah, it's not the first time Moldorm has ruined people's runs. Because I've had a lot of my runs ruined by Moldorm. Yeah, so most of Light World's pretty RNG. And so if you're going for serious PB attempts, you would reset 70% of the time because of really stupid things like that, or just really bad luck in general, which does play a big role in Light World, especially in this next dungeon coming up for both these runners. So the repeat route that both these runners are going for is, you saw Joe doing it earlier. You pull a tree, and some rupees come out. And then he has to pull out another tree right after he gets his Master Sword, which he just did. And he has to kill 4 enemies without taking a hit. And then when he's successful at doing it, then he can pull the next tree that he's going to pull, and red rupees will come out. So meanwhile, Xanadu is having some trouble here. Moldorm. Okay, there we go. Second try that time. Okay, there we go. So he'll be getting the rest of the rupees in Castle Dungeon, which is where he's approaching. Most of us refer Castle Dungeon as Aghanim's Tower. Castle Dungeon's pretty. It's fun playing casually, but in a speedrun point of view, it's pretty annoying because there's a lot of enemies at you. There's a lot of enemies going out at you. A little bit of minor random patterns, and then the main RNG factor of and then the main RNG factor of the whole run itself, which is Aghanim himself, which I'll explain once we get there. All right, here comes the first really cool strat. There's a bunch of strategies to that first room. You can wait till the two ball and chain guys come close to you, and then you release a spin attack, and it just kills both of them with just one spin attack. You can use arrows against them. You can also use beams against them, which beams is my favorite thing of why I like Links to the Past so much. It's a joke, by the way. Meanwhile, Xanadu got the Master Sword. Joe taking a safe route here. It's a bit safe. It's a bit safe. The other way is dash to the left and then upwards. Well, that's kind of risky because there's a blue soldier in the way. If you go that way. Ooh, that's some bad luck right there. Yeah, the red soldier that starts from the right got in the way of Joe, and that can really mess up your strategy. Sometimes you can accidentally throw pots at him when he notices you and tries to come at you. But I mean, there's not really much you can do about it, so you just gotta live on. I've had a lot of runs where that red soldier just wasn't very cooperative, and it's annoying. Alright. So here's Aghanim. So he has a cycle of 5 attacks. The first attack is always a guaranteed energy shot. Attacks 2 through 4 is either an energy attack or a blue ball, is what we refer to as. He just got a blue ball. And oh, by the way, chat, you got any predictions on how many blue balls Joe's gonna get? Or both runners are gonna get in this case. Oh, that's 2. So yeah, attacks 2 through 4 is 55% chance of having a blue ball or an energy shot. And then attack number 5 is a lightning, and then the cycle just repeats until both these runners, or until Aghanim's done. Okay, so far he has 4 blue balls now, or I think that's 3 now, or I think that was 3. Maybe I'm just counting wrong. I don't know what Joe's doing. He's doing some random stuff. Probably not a good idea to mess around in this fight, but I guess he had 4. Okay, 4 is not bad. Pretty much at some point, if you have like maybe a 3.5 cycle on Aghanim, then that's when the Aghanim fight starts getting pretty annoying. Alright, so meanwhile, Xanadu's actually catching up really quickly. Or maybe that's just me. But we'll see how he does it. So keep guessing how many blue balls he's going to get. We'll see what the results will turn out. So meanwhile, Joe's making his way to Dark Palace, which is where the game actually starts picking up. At least to me, in my opinion, Dark World is like my favorite part of the game. So that's when my runs start actually becoming more interesting. Now it's important that Joe does not take damage on his way to Dark Palace, because you have to pay 10 rupees for Kiki to follow you. And if you get hit, then you have to pay 10 more rupees. Because you have to pay 10 more rupees for because you have to find Kiki again. And then you have to pay 100 more rupees for Kiki to open up the dungeon. So in terms of puzzles, Dark Palace is pretty long for a first Dark World dungeon. Now it's actually really important that that you don't take damage on your way and throughout Dark Palace, because it'll save you time for the later half of Dark Palace, because yeah, it'll save you time throughout Dark Palace, because then you save yourself a bunch of menuing, because then you can use beams for long distance switches instead of having to switch to a boomerang or an arrow to rely on that. So I believe Xanadu got 5 blue balls throughout that, and that was... The max you can get is on Aghanim is 15, assuming you don't miss any of the guaranteed energy shots, and that's like a really dumb 0.02% chance. If you're really lucky, you can get 0 blue balls, which is a 1 in 16 chance of that happening. So here's the next major sequence breaking right here. This particular bomb jump is extremely hard, and he's going for the super risky one, where you throw the bomb over the bridge and then set yourself up for a pixel perfect bomb and a pixel perfect link placement. Both of those while the bridge is collapsing. And if you miss it twice, then it becomes faster just to go the normal way, and that is by going across the bridge, go to the right side of the hallway. So then you can go down the basement, get a bunch of rupees, and then grab a key. Because you want to leave this dungeon with 210 rupees. But these guys have some pretty nifty ways of getting around that, so... So far, Joe's having a pretty good Dark Palace run. Also, this is when the run starts becoming more based on skill, and there's less luck involved. Ooh, looks like Xanadu took a hit somewhere. Very nice turtle room. So he'll be coming into Helmasaur King with full hearts, and Helmasaur King is really hard. So that's another reason why it's important to take no damage, or you want to have as much hearts coming into the Helmasaur King, because all of his attacks do 2 hearts of damage. So right here, he has a sword out just so you have a better window to hit him with your hammer. Nice fight. So, yeah, it takes 17 hammer hits to break his mask. And then on his second phase, it takes 8 sword attacks. I think it's 4, I believe it's 4 hammer hits. And then 8 arrow shots. which Arrow's a little bit easier to hit Helmosaur with if he uses fire, but then you have to do an extra menuing as your consequence for using arrows. I used to do that when I on my older runs of Link to the Past, until I started getting more consistent with Helmosaur. I mean, arrows is a bit of a safe strat, which is nice, but I mean, you'd be losing time in the process. Yeah, see now since Xanadu got hit a few times, he has to pick up those hearts. Ooh, that bird almost hit Joe. It's pretty scary because that bird actually does 3 hearts of damage. Very, very bad, especially at this point in the game. Nice. So we use an item and dash right in the same exact time, same frame. It allows him to hammer the pegs as he's dashing. It's pretty cool. Actually, one of my favorite tricks in Japanese 1.0, item dashing. So yeah, throughout Dark Palace, it's okay to take at least 3 hearts of damage, but after that, you're kind of just have to go through some menuing no matter what, unless you get lucky on hard drops. Also, if you're really lucky on Helmosaur, you could get him to not shoot out any fireballs and have him go down to the bottom of the room. Sometimes he can... One really bad thing is that he can sometimes corner you